doesn't change up much because the Bell Center is louder than any damn center out there. And the Cavs beat that ass in where they were. Okay? So let's stop the crowd. Like fans, I love y'all. But you don't decide what happens on the ice. You may have a little impact on somebody getting a little revved up. But when the people are out there playing, if the Caps played better hockey, they win the game. No matter what the noise was in the stand.
I agree with you there, B. The loudest crowd I heard this year, frankly, was the divisional round in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
that
and
joint
how bad they got whipped.
That joint was nuts.
It was.
I'm not here.
We couldn't hear each other. I was in your ear talking to you one time. You're like, what? What? I can't hear you. And we're talking about inches away from each other, and you couldn't hear me.
It's, for me, it is what Washington allowed Carolina, and there are certainly more like hockey terms for all this, right? Washington allowed Carolina to dominate the game and play their style. And it was really interesting for me. So I got to sit in the post-game interviews with Rod Brendamore, the Canes coach, and then the two guys that scored for Carolina last night. And they said repeatedly, they're like, yeah, I mean, our goal, it was Stankoven and Slavin were the two guys that scored. And it's funny because Stankoven's a big unit of a dude. And Slavin is built like White Brian, like he's tiny.
Yeah.
And it just shows, hockey, there's room for everybody if you can do something right out there. But they both were super clear on their philosophy. It was, we're throwing everything at the net. We just want to get to the net. And in turn, if that's your philosophy of just getting to the net, getting everything into their zone, into their face, cause trouble for them, and you start to have success with it, that's how you just maintain possession of the puck the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're just being the aggressor the whole time. And I feel like that's what the Caps do and just didn't do well last night.
They didn't do it last night. And there were periods now. There were points. Leonard didn't even get a shot on the he was at a breakaway. He didn't get a shot off.
Yeah.
Tom 2 times breakaways and lost the puck. Ovi to me seemed slow last night. I'm being honest with you. And I love Ovi.
Right.
But even when he was close to the puck, he did not get the stick on and they come away with it. It's always was like it rolled away or somebody else got it.
Even that first power play they had, because they had a power play, I think, in the first period.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they got one shot off, like in the totality of the 2-minute power play.
That makes your goalie look good too. When you're not firing pucks at him, they look great. But you know what you can do? You can be so much of a damn nag and a gnat to a team to where they can't get shots off. That is what Hurricanes were last night. They were so much of a nag, we couldn't get shots off. So that goalie had he got the first one fired on him, and then all of a sudden, nothing was coming at him anymore. We had 11 shots at that point. Right when right around the time he scored, it was 11 shots. Then we had a whole period. It was one damn shot on goal.
It was something. So B, we were talking about this. We met up with Cody Betts, the tech executive, LD, AD beforehand. I had a quick bite with you guys, and we were just, chopping it up, getting ready for the game. And we were talking about Coach Carberry. And I really think if you look at the Ovechkin era for the Caps, they have had a bunch of subpar coaches. There's been a couple just straight up jokers, and then a bunch of subpar dudes. Obviously, Trotz was the real deal, but they weren't able to. I think some egos got in play there. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carberry is the best coach Trotz has earned it, but Carberry seems to be on a trajectory to be like a legit top coach, right? And I think he came up through the Caps organization and feels loyalty to the team. And I just feel like he is able to motivate the boys, speak at a really intelligent level, and like get down to business when he needs to.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, so in his postgame last night, I believe it was Bailey from the Post asked the first question. I asked a question. He was asked a few different questions, and he just gave one-word answers. Yes, no. He was pissed.
Yeah.
And I want to give credit.
And he should be.
Yeah.
Because
right.
Let's be real. When people look at the game, their mindset is that players weren't ready. You think those coaches didn't get them ready? You think the coaches didn't tell them everything that they did wrong last night? You think somebody didn't tell them to be looking for that, or they have to do that?
So I posted this video because I want to give credit. I believe it was Mike Vogel, who was on the show with us last week, who asked the question that finally got Carberry. I think he didn't want to say much because he was worried he would say a lot.
Say the wrong thing.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like when you're real pissed off and you don't want to flip out, and so you try to just control yourself. That was the mode I thought Carberry was in last night, but he did open up a little bit to Vogel.
Did they just out-execute you guys tonight as far as breakouts and doing all the little things that go into winning a game?
Vogues, if we sat here and went through the whole game from breakout to getting through the neutral zone to forecheck to wall play, we could – it wasn't good, and that's the bottom line. Our entire game was not good, and we'll like I said, we'll regroup and we'll get ready for game 2.
Basically what happened in that, when someone asks a question that is just to the point, you can't deny it. You have to answer it in an honest way. Vose, he wanted to say, Vose, you absolutely, I can't say the words I would use on the air, but he wanted to tell him exactly that you were absolutely right. You know what I mean? That's exactly what happened. Out-executed, out-hustled, outplayed.
Yeah.
And I think you know who reacts to straight, honest stuff better? Players.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure Carberry, after he was asked that question, if he hadn't told him already, he damn sure gonna let him know today. This reporter knows exactly what happened. And I'm telling you all exactly what happened. I don't want to hear no pointing at each other. We all got outplayed. We all stuck up the joint. Only person that could get anything good is Thompson.
Yeah, Thompson was really good.
And
you know what?
You give him something. But you got to help him out. You know, he was not helped out. He saved a bunch of people throughout that game. Then all of a sudden, hell, he can't be a magician every time.
No, dude. You can never. When you're outshot 3-1 like that, he was in constant pressure.
Hell
constant. All right, B. I feel like we could both use a laugh here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the stream real quick. So I'm working from home today, folks. I got a dentist appointment. I haven't been to the dentist in a while. So I am not dressed up, folks. I'm sitting on my porch.
No, he's never dressed up.
Scotty G just tweeted me, said, JP on the stream looking like Cody roofied him last night. That made me laugh. Also, so I'm attempting this playoff beard. Today might be the demise of the playoff beard. It starts to get real itchy. I don't know people with beards, if you just push through that day or two.
You got to fight through that first day or two.
I hate being itchy, Brian. What I don't hate, though, is having a friend I could trust if I am looking to buy or sell a home. And our guy, John Leahy, we go to happy hour with him. I text him all the time, questions about houses in my neighborhood, whatever it is. When you know there's an expert that's also trustworthy and just down to earth and can kind of understand whatever it is you're going for, that changes your mind on a lot of things. And that's the type of person you get with John Leahy.
Well, John is a cool dude, and he's very, very professional at what he does. And that's why Sergia and Margaret reached out to him. They were looking for a home in Annapolis neighborhood, which they specifically wanted to target. After John Leahy and the Fine Living Group showed them a property they loved, the listing agent let them know he already had 2 offers in hand. As John and his team began strategizing, 3 more offers were presented. Still, the Fine Living Group told them not to worry. After working on a few tweaks in regard to Margaret and Sergia's offer, the next day they were told that their bid was the one being chosen by the seller over all the other 5. Perhaps even more impressive, it was under contract in only 5 days. Do you need mortgage pre-approval? You can get the ball rolling at johnsellsdmv.com. Talking about our friend John Leahy and the Fine Living Group of eXp Realty. John offers you flexible fees, customized to your needs, and he knows that life happens. So if needed, he will let you out of your contract at any time.
And let's be real, sometimes the reason you got to sell is a stressful situation. Like whatever it is, I mean, something going on with your family, something going on with your work, something going on with your cash, whatever it is, this is stressful things sometimes. That's why working with John in the Fine Living Group gives you the options, the strategies, the conversations, and honestly, like the human touch to take care of things quickly for the least stress and still maximizing the cash coming back to you. That is a difference, folks. If you're going through something, the last thing you want to have to deal with is waiting to deal with the mortgage lender, or the realtor won't call you back, or why do these pictures suck that are going on the website? You don't get any of that with John Leahy and the Fine Living Group. I'd give him a call today, 301-900-3052. Go online to johnsellsdmv.com, or what's even easier, just Google John Leahy Group and start packing.
This sports update is brought to you by Door Pro America Garage Door Service. Go with the pros at Door Pro America. Goodbye, Utah Hockey Club. Tusks up, Utah Mammoth. After a 13-month process that included a bunch of trademark drama, Utah Mammoth was just revealed as the new name and permanent identity for the NHL franchise. It replaces the Utah Hockey Club, which was just a temporary name for their inaugural 2024-25 season after they relocated from Arizona to Salt Lake City. Speaking of hockey, the Oilers came all the way back, scoring 4 unanswered goals in Game 1 of the series, beating the Vegas Golden Knights 4-2. Last night, the Caps got on the board first, but in overtime, the Hurricanes secured the win in Game 1, 2-1. Carolina is known for taking lots of shots, but they just dominated that last night. 33 shots on goal, all the way up from the Capitals' 14 shots on goal. That is going to have to change in Game 2. Go with the pros at Door Pro America. From spring repair or replacement or brand new garage door to boost your home's curb appeal, call 877-DOOR-PRO today and ask how you can save $60 on a repair or $150 on a new garage door. Visit doorproamerica.com. From the Crop MedCap 5-Star Sports Desk, Savannah McCann on the Fan.
And out to center, some daylight now for Probst. Right side shooting, he scores! Alexei Probst drives the right side, lights it up, puts it through Anderson. 16:07 to go in the second. It's 1-0 Washington.
This song seems fitting for the moment. Certainly not the start any of us thought the Capitals would get out to last night in Game 1 of the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs against the Carolina Hurricanes. Helping us make sense of ugly night for the Rock the Red Boys is voice of the Washington Capitals, who you can hear right here on 106.7 The Fan. Our friend, Mr. John Walton.
Hey, Dub.
John, ugly stuff last night, man. Did the Caps not show up, or was Carolina that much better, or maybe a combination of both?
I wouldn't say they didn't show up. I would say Carolina was dominant, and it's weird to say because the game went to overtime, but I would say that's the most lopsided overtime loss I have ever seen because in every way, with puck possession, with zone time, scoring chances, if you name it, Carolina did it. But I do know this, over the course of the last, well, let's just say 2018, because it's always a fun reference point. When we look back on 7 years ago, we think of Evgeny Kuznetsov, and we think of coming from down 3-2 against Tampa Bay, and we think of Lars Eller. But the truth is, in every playoff series, there's a ton of adversity, and if it were easy, then everybody would do it. And is that the best Carolina has to offer? Yes. What you saw last night, and, I was talking with Danny yesterday and a little bit with Kevin Sheehan and around talking about what things to look for in Game 1. I said if you had 5-6 shots against in the first period, then the defensive effort was good. And if you had 12, 13, 14, 15 against, that means things weren't going very well. And sure enough, that's exactly how it played out, because last night they get 12 shots, but there were a lot of quality chances. You're not going to see Nick Dowd get cleaned out on the face-off dot like he did last night for an entire series. You're not going to see Pierre-Luc Dubois have that happen too. There was a lot that went wrong, but I think in the course of a 7-game series, what you need is you've got to be able to ramp your game up. And can the Capitals do that? They absolutely can. Is tomorrow night's Game 2 a very pivotal point in the series? Let's be honest. Yeah, it is. Caps need to win tomorrow because you can't go to Raleigh and win 2 games. That team won 31 games on home ice in the regular season, and you don't want to put yourself in that position. But I am confident that with this team and what we've seen all year, it's businesslike. They get punched in the mouth and they come back and they find a way. And I think they're going to be much better tomorrow night in Game 2.
John, they were a little like last night. the puck possession, they were a little loose with it. They kept missing pucks and losing them. Is that like nerves, or it just happens?
I don't think it's nerves. I think it's a much better team. I mean, when you look at what Montreal was in the first round, the Capitals were clearly the better team, and by definition, right? They were the number one team in the league, or number one team in the conference, and they're playing the second wild card, so they should be by definition better. Carolina was right behind them. They did finish second, but they had a tremendous year. They were very good down the stretch. They were very good at home, and stylistically, the way they play is in your face all the time. So there's a little bit of an adjustment to a better team, quite frankly, and needing to ramp up your game and getting to the second round. There are a lot of guys in this room that have not been to this point. Tom Wilson knows what this is about, John Carlson, Alex Ovechkin, but for the most part, there's a lot of guys that haven't been in the second round. So I'm not going to totally dismiss nerves, because I think you realize the stage gets bigger when there's only 8 teams left. We've seen this before. A lot of second-round appearances for this team, and we've seen a lot of games that didn't go well, or even times against Pittsburgh back in the day where it did go well in the beginning of the series, and then Pittsburgh adjusted. In a 7-game series, the best team rises to the top. Carolina was the best team last night, but it doesn't mean they're the best in the series. The Caps need to show better, but I'm pretty confident they can do that.
Talking with our friend John Walton, voice of the Caps. You can listen to Walton's calls of every game right here on 106.7 The Fan. John, one concern I've had, and you know Kerwin just as well as I do, and that he's a puck knower. He has pointed this out to me since the Canadiens series. The inability to clear the defensive zone with any sort of like offensive generation, that they're just not getting breakouts, and the turnovers are an ugly result of that. That is not something unique to last night. Have you noticed that? Is that a concern for you?
It is to an extent. I think what you saw last night that maybe wasn't as evident in the Montreal series, but was very evident last night, is the Caps spent a lot of time pinned in their own zone, stuck in behind the net, the quick chips to the wall and being able to get it up and out of the zone. Not a lot. And you saw Carolina relentless on the forecheck and being able to turn over pucks and turn them into shot attempts. The shot attempts last night for Carolina were ungodly. 94-34 is no way to go through life. That has to stop. So being able to get pucks out quickly and get those quick touches up the boards, making better puck decisions. Alexei Protas had a great goal last night. He also had a bad puck decision that led to the game-tying goal. And those have got to be smarter. And I think when Spencer Carberry came down last night, that's as angry as I've seen him in 2 years. Very almost Tortorellian in answer on a few occasions. And I say that not because Spencer cares tremendously, and I don't think we saw anything quite like that this year and at a big point in the game. I'll tell you what's going to happen today, though, is they're going to address all of those things that went wrong, and they will be better in Game 2. But I think that is, you're right, that has to be of paramount importance. The forecheck last night for Washington, getting pucks in and being able to generate their own chances, non-existent, and that must change. You have to be able, with the Dubois line, McMichael was so good in the first round of being able to use his speed, get in on pucks, and then turn it into offense. You saw the bottom 6 do it, I thought, very well. Ryan Leonard led him in shots last night, and none of his shots were particular in quality. But I'll say this, he got pucks to the net, which is better than a lot of guys did last night. So I think that line being able to continue to press, use their speed, use those young legs, whether you're McMichael, Leonard, those guys. The veterans can certainly be there as well. I think Pierre-Luc Dubois will be better. He was outstanding in the first round. I didn't think he was good as good last night. Nick Dowd had a lot of trouble at the dot. I mean, look at this way, guys. Pretty much everything went wrong, and they went to overtime. Yeah. So, I mean, if you can say, look, we cleaned up 6 things, and Logan Thompson was outstanding last night. Yeah. Your goaltender was not the problem last night. And in the playoff series, that's going to take you a long way. Logan deserved a better fate last night. He absolutely did. But I think his teammates will play for him and be better in game number 2.
I don't know if you know this. Like, a lot of people tried to write off. I look at the fact that the Hurricanes, they throw a lot of pucks at the net. Some of them are not quality. But still, I think most goals may come off of rebounds, right?
Oh, the playoffs for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
so if they're throwing them up there, that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't nearly enough. They didn't make Freddie Anderson work nearly as hard last night as they needed to. And it starts with first shots, and they didn't have a lot of those. But think of Brandon Duhaime and what he did in the last 2 games against Montreal. One of them's into an empty net, but going to the front of the net and making things happen. The secondary scoring, that's so important. Getting goals from 2 feet out, 3 feet out, paying the price. Caps never really got to that area last night. It wasn't lack of effort, but they were kept to the outside and kind of beaten at their own game. You can't get to the inside and generate offense when you don't have the puck. You've got to get the puck first, and being able to get it out of your zone and try and create that at the other end of the ice. Easier said than done. This isn't a lack of effort. This is a lack of execution. And I think when you look at what happens in game 2, execution is going to be key. And it starts in front of Logan Thompson and being able to break pucks out along the boards, get it up the middle, wherever you find a seam to be able to get some speed and get through center. Carolina, I thought, was just relentless defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they did get the puck out, there was always a guy standing right there. That's Rod Brindamore hockey. You're going to have a lot of guys who are in perfect position, not only to take away shot lanes when you're in the offensive end, but they know to breathe in your own zone. They will find you and neutral ice. They're all over the ice, and you've got to be able to match that work ethic and that will and want.
John, last thing from me, the power play last night, and maybe it was just indicative of the entire performance, but just really not much could get going. How do they turn that thing around to what has been so dangerous for Washington for 2 decades?
Years. Yep.
I'm sorry, Jamie. What was the question again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Just the power play last night. I mean, in the first period, it seemed like they got a shot off the first power play. It just never it's one thing if Carolina's throwing the puck at everything moving, but then Washington maybe gets a penalty and they're able to assert some control. It didn't even seem like they could do it then.
Yeah, it's special teams, and I said this before the series started. I mean, special teams need to be better. The 5-on-5 game against Montreal was excellent. I don't think there was really much issue with any of the games, save maybe a couple of third periods and Montreal with some pushes. But on the whole, in the first round, I thought the 5-on-5 was fine. What wasn't fine, at least statistically, and I know that some in the room and just talking with some of the penalty killers saying, look, yeah, they gave up 5 goals, but, here's what happened in this play. Here's what happened in this play. That's fine, but you gave up 5 goals. And against Carolina, if you lose the special teams battle, you will lose the series. So to your point, being better on the power play, making the most of those opportunities, and being able to do better on the penalty kill. And I did like the fact with Protas on the PK last night. They are better. With he and Wilson together, that's a pair that goes over the boards a lot together and perform very well together. So I think having him back, he's still getting his legs underneath him. It was only his second game. Special teams need to step up. There's no doubt. To your point, more shots, more second opportunities. Freddie Anderson, the shot he gave up to Prost was a great shot by Pro, but I didn't think it was a particularly great goal against for Anderson. Make him work. He's coming off injury, and you didn't really throw many pucks at him. You get more pucks at him, I think you're going to have a better result.
Absolutely. Walton, I feel like you're the right barometer for this. Last night was ugly, but these are 7-game series for a reason. The sky is not falling, correct?
The sky is not falling. And I would, again, you point to 2018 and not to, draw comparisons because you never know, the Caps could get on a run or they could be done in this series. But every single series, think about Columbus in the first round. This team was dead in 2018. They lost the first 2 games on home ice, and Columbus was about to run them out of the gym. And then they never lost again. They got a double overtime off the Lars Eller boot in game 3 and never looked back. These things happen through the course of a 7-game series. That's why they aren't 1-game playoffs, because anything can happen in one game. Sustained over the course of 7. Look, they've been a great team all year. There's no reason to think that's going to change now, but Carolina's a good team, and they want to win the Cup too. And whether it's in D.C. or whether it's in Raleigh, you better bring your best. I mean, Spencer was saying that prior to the series. He said it even during the Montreal series. Nobody's just going to hand it to you. They want to win the Cup just as bad as you do. You just have to elevate, and 7-game series. Somebody's got to get to 4. They only won 1 last night.
Yep.
John, thank you for the time, buddy. We'll be listening Thursday.
You bet, fellas. Thanks. And BMitch, go listen to some Prince on the way home. You'll feel better.
I will. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
That's our friend. That's our friend John Walton joining via the Rude guest hotline. Rude makes the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. If you want to follow Walton, he's a good follow. It's at John Walton PXP. Nobody go anywhere. We're going to ask the aquarium, how concerned are the Caps fans out there? Plus, we're giving away Wiz Khalifa and Sean Paul tickets next.
Hey, it's Brian Mitchell here. FanDuel is the best place to find out all your favorite player props. And now you can make the smarter play with new performance trends. Want to see if a guy's hitting that over consistently, or maybe where they're flirting with a potential triple-double? Get the latest stats right inside the app and see who's heating up. And once the game starts, that's when things get interesting. You can combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So just visit FanDuel.com/Brian to join today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 106.7 The Fan. You have to be 21 years old or present in Virginia. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Crank that, landfill. Right temperature. Oh, I. Uh-oh. Here's what I can tell you. I went to Jamaica for spring break my senior year of college.
Uh-huh.
And Sean Paul was hot in these streets, man. It was Sean Paul and 50 Cent every other song at every club you went to.
Mm-hmm.
I have much love for Sean Paul. Call number 10 right now, 800-636-1067. You win 2 tickets to see Wiz Khalifa and Sean Paul, the Good Vibes Only Tour with special guest The Baby. Friday, July 25th at Jiffy Lube Live. Tickets are on sale now. For tickets and more event information, visit thefandc.com. Again, I will confess there is no cool way for a 43-year-old white dude to say The Baby. There just isn't. Now, B, I also saw Wiz Khalifa at Coachella a number of years ago, and that was fun. More importantly, Brian, we're going to get back to the hockey in just a second. The Cowboys are trading for George Pickens.
Yep.
Pickens undoubtedly a good player. I'm not trying to knock the play.
That he is.
But he's also nuts.
100%.
What do you make of the trade?
Man, listen, there are certain teams that trade people, and when it happens, I understand Pickens is unbelievably talented. But he'll walk off the field on you. He got a little Antonio Brown in him. Who can play, but he's a little different. They traded for DK Metcalf. They had both of those guys together. They felt it would be better to let him go, send him to another team, and they'll have better success. Okay? He's in Dallas now. CeeDee Lamb is the guy. How long will he?
Lamb's also paid.
How long will he figure out that he gonna allow that to just happen without making some noise?
This is a good question, B.
You know, so I understand. Yes, super talented. Not afraid of that. Hell no.
Well, and so you're trading for Pickens going into the last year of his rookie deal. He was a second rounder, which surprised some people because the talent was out of this world. But I think he got it in the second round because there's some volatility, some combustibility.
Oh yeah.
But B, the way I see this, if you are trading a future Friday night pick, which they did, Dallas has given up, I want to say a third, correct? And then there's some pick swap stuff involved. If you're trading away a third rounder for a guy that only has 1 year on his deal, you're working to get a new deal done, right?
You would hope.
Otherwise, it's a bad move.
Yeah.
But
then again, I mean, let's be real now. How many third rounders will come in and have his talent? So,
sure, I'm not saying it's a bad value. I think you can argue the Cowboys are getting a good trade, but it also means you're about to pay this dude.
You would think, or
you're not.
Maybe they're saying, "Listen, let's see how he acts for this year." Most people will be on their best behavior for a year to get a deal. He may not be.
Right. Well, there's also the dangling participle of Micah Parsons. Like 11's still out there without his long-term deal. And you trade for this receiver, and I would presume you got to pay him. I mean, maybe you don't do it this month, but I think you're doing it before September 1st. And it's not the same. You're not paying the same amount of money. I recognize that. And Pickens, you're kind of paying on potential still at this point. He has 1,000-yard season in 3 years in the NFL. Never scored more than 5 touchdowns. Yeah, you could easily argue that Dak Prescott's the best quarterback he's going to play with.
Mm-hmm.
But, last year between Justin Fields and Russ Wilson, he went for 900 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
That's not top. That is not like incredible production. So you're paying on potential. And Parsons seems to comment on everybody's contract across the league and on every personnel move across the league. Never a dull moment in Dallas, dude.
Oh, no. And I'm happy for him. because they're chasing now.
Yeah,
They are
for
doing
sure.
what we used to do. And I want them to continue. And we're going to keep just building this thing methodically. Handle
Sure.
business.
We're going to run out of time because there's a Nats game today. How about the Pacers last night, B?
Hey, they up 2-0, baby.
I didn't see any
Jeff,
of-
what the hell? Halliburton killing these people, man.
That's Jeff's guy. Jeff's probably dealing with Sean Paul tickets, if I had to guess. When we come back, Neil Greenberg joins the show. We're going to have a real conversation about probably the numbers behind both the Caps' terrible loss last night and what the Caps need to do to get back in this. I might sneak a little what George Pickens brings to Dallas in with Greenberg. Nobody go anywhere. It's BMitch and Finlay.
The Cowboys and Steelers agreed to a trade that will send wide receiver George Pickens to Dallas in exchange for a 2026 third-round pick. The Cowboys are also sending over a 2027 fifth-round pick and getting back a 2027 sixth-round pick. The Jacksonville Jaguars released Gabe Davis nearly 14 months after signing the wide receiver to a 3-year contract worth $39 million. Davis's $1.5 million salary and $10 million option bonus were fully guaranteed for 2025. So that means that Jacksonville will absorb $20.3 million dead cap hit. Over in the NBA, the Warriors are preparing as if they're going to be without Steph Curry for the next game versus the Timberwolves. Curry will undergo an MRI today, but is considered day-to-day by the team after he left game 1 with a left hamstring strain. And very soon, the Nationals are going to be facing off against the Guardians at series finale. First pitch, 12:05 p.m., an hour away. Michael Soroka is making his first start coming off the IL earlier today. This will be his second start of the season. Now, to bring him back onto the roster, that means the Nationals had to make a move. Brad Lord is going to the bullpen, and Eduardo Salazar has been optioned to AAA. From the Crop MedCap 5-Star Sports Desk, Savannah McCann on The Fan.
Got to be a badass if you walk out to Iron Man. Only one man I know can get that done. It's our friend, Mr. Neil Greenberg from the Washington Post, everybody's analytics man. Hello, Greenberg. We saw a not score reflective thumping last night. What did you make of Caps Canes game 1?
Well, Carolina's doing what it's done pretty much for the whole year, which was control the offensive zone when they're in it. They pepper a lot of shots on net. They're a very analytically driven organization. I've known their GM, Eric Tulsky, since he was a blogger in his mom's basement for over a decade now. This is a team that is going to take advantage of their roster. It's going to take advantage of their line matchups, and it's going to tilt the ice in their favor. And we saw that last night starting in the first period, even though there were no goals scored. Washington was still outshot 12-5. I think that this is a tough matchup for Washington because this is a team that just loves to dominate the puck in the offensive zone.
Them, like you said, they pepper the net. That's all by plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their whole thing is their roster's built to take advantage of the times when they have the puck. They're very good at controlling the entry across the blue line. They're very good at getting it to their players in the right spots. And they led the league in offensive zone time this season. They're really good in the high danger areas, both on the power play and during even strength. And I think we saw last night their penalty kill is really good. So I think this is just a well-rounded team. And I know a lot of people were wondering why Carolina was favored in this matchup. Well, this is why. I mean, they're not like a huge favorite. It was like a 55-45 split, but you can see that they are a really good hockey team that needs to be taken seriously.
Clearly, they're a good team. And I think we all kind of knew that just from the regular season games. Technically they split. One of the Caps wins was a shootout win, but it was also kind of clear. I mean, that 5-1, there's a million factors because the Caps played Carolina twice off back-to-backs, and it wasn't always LT in goal. But Greenberg, recognizing Carolina's good and the kind of the contrast of styles might be difficult for Washington, I also think the Caps just played bad and can be way better. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're in the playoffs. You need to have your best games. I mean, you're not playing the Bostons and Chicagos of the world anymore. You're playing really good teams. You're playing cup caliber teams in the second round, and you absolutely need to minimize the mistakes. So yeah, Washington's a really good team, and this isn't to say that they can't win this series, but I thought that the 2-1 score really wasn't reflective. This could have easily been like 4-1, right? I mean, this is something that Washington is going to need to correct and make sure that they're much tighter defensively. Because as I said, I mean, Carolina will make you pay if you let them keep the puck in the offensive zone for a long period of time.
I tend to agree with what you're saying right there, because I believe if Logan Thompson wasn't in net, they would have 4 or 5 goals.
8-1.
He was unbelievable early on, and you watch them, their goalies sitting there and not being stressed at all. And I've always felt that the team playing better, defensively can help out the goalie, and they have to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it's an interesting situation. The expected goal, so based on the shots that were taken, where they were taken, whether or not they were on the power play or at even strength, etc., score should have been like 4-2, maybe 5-3. So Carolina didn't score as much as they probably should. And if you play that game again, they're going to have a hard time. But even if you look at just like the scoring chances, I mean, Carolina was all over the place on the up front in the net, and Logan Thomas absolutely needed every ounce of those 30 some odd saves. But again, I mean, Washington's also got to make sure that their chances count as well, because I don't think there's not going to be too many of these 2-1 games. I think Carolina's going to start running up the score a little bit.
Yeah, man. Talking with our friend Neil Greenberg here from the Washington Post. You can give him a follow at @Greenberg on Twitter and Instagram. Greenberg joins us from the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude makes the most reliable HVAC products in the DMV. I don't want to sound like monotone on this. Do you feel like the Caps can turn this thing around? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean they're a very good coach team. They have a lot of good players, starting with Alex Ovechkin on down. The Caps can score in bunches too. I mean, if Game 2 is 7-2 Washington's favor, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, that's really out of the ordinary. I mean, this is what this team is capable of. They lose in overtime, which is tough, but it wasn't like they got blown out. They did get blown out in some of the underlying metrics, but look, Carberry's a good coach. He's going to see what's going on. He's going to make adjustments. Both coaches are going to make adjustments. He's got, he's going to be home again, so he gets the benefit of last change to put his players in the best possible position to succeed. So I think it's going to be fine. I wouldn't sound any alarm bells yet. I will say the team that wins the first game in the 7-game series wins about 68% of the time, so it's definitely not the best possible spot. But as I said, Washington's a well-coached team, a lot of players that can do the right things. There's no reason to panic yet. They weren't going to sweep them.
In other sports,
right?
Neil, in other sports, we look at the referees. We know the crews. I don't know all the referees in hockey, but I know that those referees missed a lot of damn calls against Carolina last night.
They do. It's a very fast sport.
But
there's a lot of calls that are missed.
Last night it was like 3 or 4 trips. Carolina, and they called none of them.
And there's some analytic stuff out there that shows that the referees try to even out the power plays, and they do have a bias in that sense. So yeah, I mean, you'll be able to find fault with the referees. I will tell you one thing.
Yeah, that was 74 last night. I wanted to jump across the glass and whoop his ass.
Well, I would almost guarantee our pal Alan May was right there with you, because he is a big proponent of referee how should we say, slander. Not slander. Maybe just
Referee screwing the
constructive
game up.
criticism.
So he,
Constructive criticism.
yeah. Just let him know.
Yeah.
I got to watch the first period with Alan. Well, like kind of Alan adjacent. Like he was there and I was there, but he didn't care that I was there, if that makes sense. He was very, very
I've been
much
there,
locked
yeah.
in.
I've done some shows with him. He's definitely watching a different game in his own spot.
Right. Now, I was also with Brent Johnson, and Johnny and I were talking throughout. Alan very locked in. Not pleased. He was not
Yeah,
pleased.
no, I heard it from here. Yeah, I've done those. Brent's a chatter, and then he'll chat with Alan about stuff that I never saw because they watch a different game.
We're not privy to that.
And then a lot of yelling from Alan, who I love, by the way.
Yeah, that's my dog right there.
Yeah, Mayday's good people. I think it's going to be quite interesting going forward with this thing. I did think, and I asked Wilson about this afterwards in the dressing room, and he took the high road, I think probably because he doesn't want to get fined. I did think the call in the third period to give Carolina a power play that they ended up not scoring on was pretty weak. I think the dude just dropped his stick to make it look like a way worse slash.
The high stick?
Yeah.
The one on
What was
Ovi.
the power play in the third period?
That was on Ovi, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, the slashing.
I'm talking about the slashing.
Yeah.
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 that's what they call
Early
it
in
for
the third
slashing.
period, yeah.
Early in the third period. Yeah. I thought that.
I
don't
think that was straight stankola BS.
So you weren't alone, I'm sure.
Yeah. Give me one key. This is perhaps stupid and an oversimplification, Greenberg. But I thought when Ovi scored early in game 5, it just set the tone for the Caps to kind of run away with that thing and feel comfortable. And when they got nothing on that early power play, I know they got the one look, but I feel like they got to, especially now down 0-1 with at home, they need early success against this Hurricanes team on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean they need to get that they need to get that top line going for sure. And when you're looking at what Carolina likes to do, spend a lot of time in the offensive zone, if you have a 1 or 2 goal lead, you're able to play a little bit tighter defensively and just do a little bit more to pressure the puck because you have that cushion. You take that away and Carolina becomes kind of like a freewheeling skating team. It makes it much more difficult. So, absolutely. And this is across all the NHL, right? The team that scores first generally is in a much better position because it does change the complexity of the game in terms of how you're deploying players and how you're deploying them on the ice.
When you look at the game last night, I think three early, 2 Tom Wilson just lost the puck. And then Leonard later, he had a breakaway and he never got a shot off without anybody really in his way.
Yeah. Look, we've said this before, right? And it's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true. Like, you need your best players to be your best players, especially in the playoffs, because the room for error is so much smaller.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to need their big guys to. We're going to have to be talking a lot about Ovechkin and Strome and Protas and Wilson and McMichael, like to the good stuff, right? Because that's really what they need to come out for like a 5-1 victory, and everyone can kind of breathe a sigh of relief and not be so worried.
Talking with our friend Neil Greenberg here from the Washington Post. I am going to perhaps jam in a little bit of football conversation here. I follow you on Twitter. I always find it interesting. At N Greenberg, and Greenberg joins us via the Rude Guest Hotline. If it ain't rude, it ain't right. Speaking of not being right, the Steelers are really good at drafting wide receivers that perform well in Pittsburgh and not other places. You put this chart together, and I'm going to ask your permission now if I can screenshot that and tweet it out, and I will credit you. I think that would be better than me retweeting it. I think that'll get more eyeballs on it. But basically, you looked at the success rate for a lot of Steelers receivers that then went elsewhere, and it's overwhelmingly bad when they go elsewhere. 3 out of 5, quite bad. And you didn't even include Antonio Brown, which would be like its own subcategory. I asked that by saying, what do you make of this George Pickens trade?
Yeah, I think that it's an interesting one. I think this is caveat emptor. It reminds me of when Philadelphia traded their franchise quarterback Donovan McNabb to an in-division rival, and it's like, okay, like what's this never happens. Like, why are you doing this? Like, what's the real story? That ended up not working out, and we've seen kind of the same situation. I mean, it's give credit to Mike Tomlin for being able to put people in the right position to succeed, and also knowing when to cut bait. And we've seen whenever you've seen this type of trend in the past, you at least have to take a moment and say, okay, like what is there? There's got to be something wrong, right? Because the NFL's whole purpose is to accumulate good talent, right? Not get rid of good talent.
Yep.
So the fact that they're letting him go says a lot. I think it's interesting for Dallas. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is a pretty good duo to have, and I'm not really sure what the Steelers are doing now. But I don't think it's going to make a difference. I don't think Dallas is going to be competitive in the division. I think it's clearly Philadelphia 1, Washington 2. I think this is more of like a Jerry Jones move, like look at me, I'm making stuff happen, than it is improving the football team move.
I basically said it's what Washington used to do.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
We've changed, and I'm like, you know what? Let them have that.
Right.
Yeah,
right. You want to take the chance. Everyone thinks that they can change them, right? Everyone thinks that they can fix the player that's probably broken. If Jerry Jones wants to do it, no one's going to stop him because that's his decision. But again, I think this is more maybe ego is not the right word, but more of a ego trade than it is an actual improve the football team trade.
I tend to agree with you. Now, I'm going to ask one other question that might have me a little bit nervous.
Oh, boy.
If a road team wins game 1 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, what is the percentage they win the series?
It's probably pretty good. I know it's 68% overall, so it's got to be at least close to that. It's going to be pretty large.
You don't need to hear anything else if it's 68%.
Yeah,
68%, and a lot of that is probably home teams.
That's home team?
No,
that's all teams.
Yeah, the team that wins. Yeah, so it's going to be probably much higher. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
I just gave you your next nugget.
Let's see. So let's see. We have it here. NHL. No, I can't find it anywhere.
Whatever. You can find it on your.
Here
own.
it is. So it's 7. It's 60%.
Oh, it went down.
All right. So
yeah, 60% to do it. So they were 55% before. Again, we weren't going to see a sweep in all likelihood. So they took the first one on the road. They weren't going to be swept. Probably is going to be a little bit of a series. I wouldn't panic just yet.
Okay, good. Last, and this can be super quick. The Pacers are up 2-0 on Cleveland. You think they knocked them out?
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the road teams in general are doing well. They all won last night, I think, for the first time. Well, they all won in this round so far, and they against the spread, they're like on a 9-1 streak. I think that this is what the NBA wanted. I mean, in terms of parity. I mean, the good teams are good, and these records that we see are largely because you have the Utahs and Washingtons in the mix. You take those out, and you're looking at just the top couple teams in the NBA. They're probably a lot closer than their records suggest. Am I surprised? Yeah, But I think this is the NBA is a different type of environment now, which allows a team like Indianapolis to make some hay.
But I mean, it's injuries on Cleveland as well. That I don't think Mitch
Yeah.
can do it by
Absolutely.
himself. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Greenberg, we got to run, brother. We got a hard out with this Nats game coming. Thank you, buddy.
Love you. Talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Take care.
That's our guy, Neil Greenberg from the Washington Post. Give him a follow at @ngreenberg. Let me tell you about how many times I've pulled out of my driveway and thought, wait a second, did I leave the damn garage door open? But now I don't have to worry about it because I got a LiftMaster garage door opener and the MyQ app installed by the pros at Door Pro America. And there's no need to stress. With the MyQ app, I can just check my garage door wherever I am, and I can just close it. Or I can set up to have it closed every time it's been open for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And I get alerts. I get text messages, basically, if my garage door has been open too long. I'm telling you, the MyQ app is super dope, makes you feel super safe, and the new garage door is silent. My old joint sounded like a 70s Harley. It's changed the curb appeal for my house. It's changed just the functionality of needing to let people in and out. Call Door Pro America. That's what I did. These guys are experts. They gave us a ton of options for a new garage door, but if you just need some maintenance or maybe get that MyQ app, they might be able to help you with that too. They're based locally, and they've been serving the DMV for over 50 years. These dudes are pros, and if you call today, you can save $60 on a repair or $150 on a new garage door. Call 877-DOOR-PRO. That's 877-DOOR-PRO. Tell them JP Finlay sent you, or check them out now at doorproamerica.com.
A rubber match between the Nationals and the Guardians is on deck. First pitch scheduled for 12:05 p.m. Michael Soroka is making his second start of the season. He's back off the IL after missing the last 5 weeks with a right bicep strain, which means we have a Nats roster move. Eduardo Salazar has been optioned to AAA. Brad Lord, who held Soroka's spot in the rotation, he pitched really well, earned himself a spot on this roster, so he's moving to the bullpen. Salazar really struggled this season. He has a 9.77 ERA in 17 appearances. Now, who are going to be the players to watch in the series finale? Nathaniel Lowe and James Wood. Lowe has 7 doubles, 6 home runs, and 28 RBI while batting .259 so far this season, while James Wood is on a hot streak as per usual. He's 12 for 39 with 4 doubles and 2 homers in his last 10 games. From the Crop MedCap 5-Star Sports Desk, Savannah McCann on The Fan.
BMitch Finlay 1067 The Fan. Short show today. Nats baseball coming up in just moments, man. Hopefully folks are heading out to the park. It's a beautiful day, and it's been nothing but rain and weirdness for a few days. So
Yep.
Hopefully everybody enjoys it. What do you got cooking on a short show day, B?
I got to go to the Ashburn for a quick meeting and then come back and meet Bees. We go and ride.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
I was with Bees last night, and he didn't think he was going to the game, and then last minute he ended up going to the game, and he's been trying to train for the game, and then he had a couple of beers, and I was like, "You're all over the place, dude."
Dude, yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah. I tell people when I have to work a game and then I have to work post game, obviously I don't drink. And when I run into people and it's like clear that I don't have beers, like just fans of the program, whatever, like Drew was there, our boy Terrence was there. They all look at me sideways when when I'm not boozing at a ball game.
You look like you've been boozing anyway, though.
No, I didn't.
You just have that look.
No, I didn't.
I didn't say you did. I say you look. That's an everyday thing.
That's my joy de vivre. I had some serious grown-up stuff to do because we don't get a lot of daytimes to ourselves just with the nature of the show from 10 to 2. I got to go to Oarsman Fairfax Toyota, pick up Lauren's car, and then the dentist, and then pick up the kids. Pray for me, B.
Hey, man, that's your job.
Let's make some bets. I did call up Pro to Skull last night, but they did not win.
I got the Florida Panthers.
Okay. I don't hate that, Jeffrey.
Maple Leafs.
Ooh, heads up in the aquarium. Landini?
I'm taking the over in the Nats Guardians game.
Who?
I like that.
What is the over?
9.
Yeah, they expect them to score a lot of points, huh?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of runs. I said it the other night. I'm taking the Celtics tonight. They missed 45 threes. They're not doing it again.
I'm going to take the Knicks. Well, plus 10.5.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Thank you to John Walton for joining the program. Thank you to Neil Greenberg for joining the program. Nats baseball is next.